Cyber Uncut. Discover the changing face of business, government and national security as Australia navigates the cyber revolution.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are listening to the Cyber Uncut podcast. My name is David Hollingworth. I'm joined by my word of the month, indefatigable. Oh, I got it wrong.
Yeah, it's okay.
Daniel Croft,
you had too much
my
prep.
friend. I did. I
Too
got
much build-up.
We actually had in the office, we had a discussion about how to pronounce indefatigable. Indefatigable. And it was said so many times that I lost my ability to actually use the word.
Yeah. Oh, you said the second pronunciation, and I'm like, okay, I'll just keep working on the first.
Yeah. So we'll scrap that. Anyway, how have you been?
Good. Tired. Forza Horizon 6 came out, so I've been playing that.
Yep.
I was up quite late playing it because it came out at midnight Wednesday night, Tuesday night, one of them. So yeah, I've been doing that.
Yeah, Subnautica 2, big open world survival underwater horror game.
I do want to play that.
A list of things I dislike: horror, underwater, and yet I can't stay away from it. So I was up late playing that last night.
Yeah.
So if we both look tired in the podcast, blame the fact that we're horrible gamers.
Yeah.
So before we both fall asleep
Yeah.
or start talking about games anymore, let's get cracking. And now we know that banking and AI seems like, as long as you're a bank, is a match made in heaven. You've got a lot of data. You want to use AI to make the most of it. Now we're seeing AI and tools like ChatGPT being rolled out in a, hey, would you like to get financial advice from ChatGPT? But there's a slight problem with the way this is being done, isn't there, that you uncovered today.
Yeah.
So take us through it.
So it was a couple days ago, OpenAI, it might have even been over the weekend, they announced, 200 million people, I think a year or a month or some ridiculous number of people already use ChatGPT for financial advice. And in doing so, they're inputting banking information, spending habits, things like that.
Yeah.
And OpenAI's gone, right, let's make this a thing. Let's make this an actual thing. So they've announced this new service with ChatGPT, currently only available to US-based Pro subscribed users.
Yep.
Where you can, get great financial advice. Great, I'm doing, air quotes, financial advice from the AI, and all you have to do is link your bank account. My personal opinion is don't do that. But that way it can see your bank statements, your spending habits, and then you can ask it things like, I want to save for a new car. What cuts can I make? Where am I best able to save money each week? Things like that, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing this using a company called Plaid Inc. Now, I wrote a story yesterday about a bunch of experts saying, and I think it was The Record that originally had these guys speak. I've borrowed those quotes. And they've pretty much said, hey, there's a lot of reasons you shouldn't do this. For example, we don't know what commercial opportunities OpenAI wants to using your data. Yeah. You're also then saying, hey, well, even if OpenAI keeps that data secure, because OpenAI says, you can disconnect at any time, you can delete any financial memories, they're calling them. But account takeover is now going to be a massive thing for OpenAI because for OpenAI users, because now they can access your banking data. It's just, there's a whole bunch of reasons why you shouldn't. And I, this morning, stumbled upon another reason.
This one's wild.
So I was looking into another...
Also, before you get into that, sorry, I need to... so a friend of mine actually reached out after you wrote that original story about OpenAI and had to basically say, look, I just read your colleague's story, and maybe today was not a day for me to be in the office since I'm now explaining a loud string of swearing. Yeah. Because they work in cybersecurity, and both of us are like, really? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I know. It's utterly insane that, anyone would do it before this service. Now OpenAI is capitalizing on said service.
Yeah, and now here's another reason not to do it.
Yeah. So I was looking at the Office of the Main Attorney General's disclosure list, and I was looking at another kind of incident.
Yeah.
And I noticed, throwback to the name, Plaid Inc. was one of the disclosures from literally last month.
Yeah.
It was the 22nd of April.
And these are the guys that are working with OpenAI on this whole banking.
Their business model is being able to securely, through a secure portal, link bank accounts with, bank accounts with budgeting apps, things like that.
Yeah, gotcha.
And they suffered a cyber incident. This occurred December 2024.
Not this year.
Not this year.
When did they discover it?
According to that, April 22nd this year.
So if I'm doing the math on that, that's a hell of a long time.
Yeah, it's like 18 months, give or take. It's somewhere in the middle.
Now, I mean,
year and a half.
I will say this is not uncommon for companies to take a long time to discover the breach. And one of the things that I like about the Office of the Main Attorney General and the way they report this is they have all of the details there in a searchable database.
Yeah.
I would actually recommend anybody who's interested in cybersecurity and incident disclosure have a look at the way they do it.
Yeah.
It is world class.
It is.
We love Maine.
I'm going to be using the release for 7-Eleven. It's been very widely reported that they've had an incident.
They've also had an incident?
Yeah, that's exactly, that was the one I was looking for at the time.
Having gone through Maine's list of there where it's like date of disclosure, date of informing consumers impacted, date of discovery here, date of incident.
Yeah. How many people impacted? How many Maine residents impacted?
How many people? It
is very good.
Excellent. And I got out of the habit of checking it, but you are still in the habit of. And
I hadn't for a while.
I need to get back into that habit.
So the not brilliant. The funny thing about this is that this was not a cyber attack. The Plaid Inc. one. It was a Plaid. I'm going to swap between the two.
Good call.
This was not a cyber attack. What it was is a phone recycling incident, which sounds like a form of cyber attack. It's not. You get a new phone number. That phone number goes back into the ether of phone numbers, and it'll get assigned to someone else eventually.
Yeah.
No problem. The issue is that some users got new phone numbers, and then the people who got the old phone numbers could access that original user's data.
So, I mean, it's not a cyber attack, but it is a data leak.
Yeah, widespread, but individual instances, and we see that.
We've seen government departments here in Australia do the same thing. Accidentally uploading data to front-facing, to public-facing websites, and suddenly anybody can go through it.
Or apps where logins not going to the right account and things like that. So it's very similar to that. The data includes a lot of personal information and, would you believe it, banking information.
Oh, great. Excellent.
They didn't specify what banking information, but they did mention things like names, addresses, dates of birth, other things, and specific banking information. They did say that no banking credentials or logins were revealed.
That's a plus.
But
look, if you know what's happening in someone's account, is transaction history.
Yeah.
So if transaction history is there, you now have enough information to call up someone cold. Hi, we're company X. You bought such from us last month. There's been an issue with payment. You can then start going through that scamming or phishing for further credentials.
That data is incredibly valuable.
Yeah. Even beyond, I'm just imagining like someone getting SMSs. God, that David Hollingworth is still buying Games Workshop products. What are they doing?
This has been going on for a year and a half.
Yeah.
It's not like they patched it and took a long time to disclose it.
They only discovered it after a year and a half.
Yeah, and so there is currently a law firm looking to launch a class action. It's inviting people to take part.
Yeah.
And a law firm called DePere Law, PA, they said that they're investigating a potential class action against Plaid Inc., a San Francisco-based financial technology platform that connects consumer bank accounts to thousands of apps on behalf of bank accounts to thousands of apps on behalf of consumers whose personal and banking information may have been visible to the wrong individuals between, these are the dates, December 25, Christmas, 2024, and April 22nd, 2026, due to a phone number recycling issue in Plaid's connection system. So if OpenAI says, hey, do you want some financial advice? Link your bank account up. I'm not saying that this is not a blame specifically on OpenAI, but it shows the power and the damage a third-party incident can cause.
Yeah.
And that's not great for OpenAI either.
Yeah.
So, well, crazy story this one.
We're not saying don't use services like this. I might be saying that because it just doesn't sound like a great idea. Also, I don't want financial advice from ChatGPT.
Neither. Personally, I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to be doing anything.
Mind you, given my own financial habits, maybe I need financial advice from ChatGPT. Yeah,
I think I need financial advice.
How's that new drum set going for you?
It's amazing.
Excellent.
It was expensive.
Yes. I'm very much enjoying the new army I can't afford at the moment that I'm painting right up as we speak. So, but that's fine.
And that Forza that I've been playing, that's on my brand new gaming PC.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah,
and And I'm not rich. I've just been doing a lot of spending.
Yeah. Oh, and I pointed out the new fish tank I want to get to my partner last night. She's cool. She's great about it.
That's a cool thing to purchase.
No, look, it's a perfect. Look, there are so many interesting aspects to that story alone. Like you brought up the whole third party thing. You know, your security is only as strong not as what you can do, but what your third party can do.
Yeah,
and
it
if
is
your
part of
third
your
party
environment
you're involved with is accidentally leaving their phone number. It boggles the mind.
Yeah.
Boggles the mind.
So that's exactly it. When you're thinking about the landscape of your cybersecurity, you need to think about the environments of your third party, because in that regard, they are also your environment and your network
and your data, your customers' data. Yeah. Absolutely.
So we see it time and time again.
Yeah, that's a grim one, but also a good pickup as well. That's just the value of looking at various disparate information, open source information areas as well, and being able to put 2 and 2 together and get 4.
Yeah.
So well done. And on that note, we are going to take a short break, and we'll be back shortly with crimes. Actual crimes, not just we forgot to close the back door and people got in.
No, these are crimes.
These are crimes. Actual crimes. Back with crimes. Welcome back to Cyber Uncut. Thank you for joining us once more. What a week for ransomware it's been.
I saw you put a post on LinkedIn at some point where it was Monday.
It was Monday.
And we were like, well, there were 4 that we've seen over the weekend. All right, come on, let's get to it.
Okay, you take 2, I'll take 2, let's go. And there's even more since then.
Yeah.
It's just been...
I was surprised not to see any this morning. It's the first day in like 2 weeks I haven't seen any.
Normally Dan and I are like, oh, a crime.
Yeah.
And look, we know real people suffer, but it's our job to report on this. So when we do see it, we kind of get a little bit excited. But this morning, I was like, oh, thank heck. We could just do some actual other writing.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, it'll probably be completely different.
Give us and the victims a break.
So who are some of the people you were reporting?
So the first one I reported on was Menzies Facility Services.
They do cleaning.
Yeah, so it's Australia's largest privately owned cleaning company. One of. 2,200 employees, annual turnover of almost 82 million.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
So, big company. They were listed on the dark web leak site of Qilin.
We'll get back to Qilin.
Yeah, we've mentioned Qilin a few times, and we're going to mention them more.
Yeah.
But as they keep doing, they provided no information regarding the nature of the incident.
Yeah.
However, I reached out to Menzies, and they confirmed the incident, and they said that it was a third-party IT service provider. They wrote... We've been responding to a cyber incident involving unauthorized third-party access to a limited part of our network, which occurred through an IT service provider with whom we've partnered for a number of years. As soon as we became aware of the incident, we immediately took steps to prevent any further access to our network and engaged external cybersecurity experts to assist in our response. They launched an immediate investigation to understand the nature and scope of the incident and any impact to personal data. They also said that they notified the OAIC, the ACSC, and in regards to Quilin's claims, they said, we've now been made aware of claims made online regarding information allegedly associated with our organization. Our cybersecurity experts are working urgently to assess the nature and scope of these claims.
Yep.
They warned that investigations take time, which is very fair. They absolutely do. And they want to update stakeholders as soon as possible. So very, very, very standard.
I mean, they're crossing all their T's, dotting all their I's, doing all the right stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But that was not the only one. There was another one, which from memory was also, yes, it was also Qilin.
Still more to come.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So this was actually one that I first started looking into last week, I believe. Yep. But Blue Eyes, so they do hospitality solutions. So when you look at the point of sale system at a pub, when you're waiting for your beer to be poured, and you're just like kind of looking around, waiting for your beer, and you see the point of sale, the POS. Yeah. That's probably Blue Eyes software, or at least there is a chance it's Blue Eyes software.
I'm the only one whenever I hear POS, I think of a word that isn't point of sale.
Yeah, piece of...
Can't say it. Yeah. I don't want to... It'll be another $1 in the swear jar of the AV team.
Yeah, no, I am the same. But yes, excellent. Point of sale. So they're an IT supplier for hospitality. They do gaming as well, I think. As in pokies gaming.
Do they do
not
like do they do like sign-ins for clubs and pubs and stuff like that? Or?
Probably that kind of stuff. Yeah. So they got listed on the Qilin ransomware site on May 13th.
Yep.
Once again, Qilin provided no information.
Yeah.
Now, I reached out to Blue Eyes, and again, they got back to me. They said that an incident had occurred, but it hadn't observed any cases of customer data being impacted as of yet.
Yeah.
It said, at this stage, our investigations indicate the incident was limited to general office PCs and did not affect our off-site production servers that host customer systems and data.
Yep.
They said they weren't aware of a customer breach, as I mentioned. As a precautionary measure, affected office PCs were isolated, cleaned, and restored. And then they engaged an external cybersecurity firm to assist in the ongoing investigation and strengthening their security. So, again, great response, exactly what they should be doing.
Totally.
No blame on them.
No data or details shared by Qilin or the affiliate,
which is
doing that.
Not a standard thing for ransomware, but
and Qilin, more often than not, will share how many files. It'll share the data volume.
Yeah,
it'll have
they're
3,
not big
4
on
to a dozen pieces of evidential screenshots there. We'll do that.
But they're not big on like big editorializing and like stuff like that.
Anubis,
but
for instance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they will show little bits like,
they'll
have
that they've done the thing.
250 gigabytes of data or whatever it is.
But those two hacks, nothing.
Nothing. Blank.
Which was also the case for the Australian College of Business Intelligence, which was also hit or listed by Qilin ransomware over the weekend. And again, no details of volume, no details of the number of files or the kind of files, nothing evidentiary posted to the dark web, just a claim that they've been hacked. And once again, this is one that I covered, reached out to the ACBI and got they got back to me. So they've confirmed they're looking into it. They said they're aware of the matter and is actively working with external cybersecurity specialists and relevant authorities. Now, this is what I find interesting. They said they were informed by their IT services provider. Now, what they haven't said is our IT services provider said we were hacked, just said there's been an incident.
Yeah.
Now, I look at this and I bring this up very, very specifically also before I move on to my suppositions. I do want to say that the ACBI also has informed internal key stakeholders. It's also working with all the right authorities. It is doing everything correctly.
Spot on. Good.
Initial investigations found no evidence that student data has been compromised. However, we are continuing to monitor the situation and working under guidance from our IT service provider and the relevant authorities. Now, I want to go back to Qilin once again. I want to go back to February when they targeted, again, 4 Australian businesses in 1 month, and they all seem to be linked by the same MSP.
So going back quickly to that cleaning services firm, Menzies, when they gave me the statement, they did note that there was a third-party IT provider there.
Yeah.
And we've seen, there's 3 Australian businesses here. One's been notified by an ISP. One has mentioned that they have a third-party IT provider. And then they're all meeting the same bill of no information shared by Qilin.
I know. So the thing we need to mention about Qilin is they're a ransomware as a service provider. So I'm sure some of the actual members of Qilin do hacking.
Yeah.
They do crimes. There's no doubt they do crimes. But mostly it's a matter of, hey, we've got this software. Do you want to use it? Yes. Okay. Go and do your thing. And if you get paid a ransom, we'll take 20%.
Yeah.
That's how RAS works. So I wonder if we're looking at yet another instance of this one Qilin affiliate who doesn't give a crap about sharing evidence, data, volume sizes, and may not even be concerned about extorting businesses like the ACBI or Menzies or whoever. Maybe what they're doing, and again, this is just me thinking.
Sure, yeah.
Is they're targeting the MSP. They're targeting their security provider. They're targeting their IT guy and hitting them and getting their customer data and then pressuring this provider, not by mentioning them, but by mentioning their customers online, which is kind of the shiny hunters.
It is,
modus
yeah.
operandi.
Well, it's Salesforce with them.
Yeah.
To add to that as well, consistently in I think both of the ones I was looking at, when they were saying no customer data is impacted because that was stored on different servers.
Yeah. I know, and look, we are desperately trying to add the numbers up here and come up with a solution. But there is something very weird happening with Qilin at the moment. I've reached out to ThreatLocker's Intel team because I've got an inside with them and said, hey, if you could have a look at what they're doing, if you can come back to us with anything on that front, we'd love it. But because the other thing is, months later, there's still nothing posted with these victims.
Yeah.
Months later.
Yeah.
If these victims were paying,
the listings would
disappear.
be gone. Yeah.
That's the way this works.
Yeah.
But they're clearly not paying. The listing is still there, but nothing else is happening, which again leads me to think that they're collateral, that they are being part of an extortion campaign where they're not directly being extorted.
Yeah.
I could be remarkably wrong.
No, but
I think
it's a theory.
Quilin's operations are definitely a bit odd. I noticed in one of your articles on a Qilin victim, you'd said that some people were wondering if they were just faking what they were doing now, or at least some of their affiliates might be faking.
Maybe. I don't even remember writing that. But yeah, that checks as far as I'm aware.
It's the vibe I'm getting as well. And the thing is that, they're not a small operation either. Qilin is the group worldwide.
At the moment
right
it is.
now.
It's got like 1,800 victims and it started in 2022.
As of my ACBI piece, 1,844 victims across
that's what
96 countries.
That's what I've got for Menzies.
Yeah. And it's not like all of their attacks don't go anywhere. These are the guys who took Asahi offline. They went after Volkswagen, which was a real thing. We've seen evidence of actual hacks. We've seen the passports. We've seen the medical data. We've seen all that stuff. But there's at least one affiliate or a group of affiliates who operate very differently to everyone else. They are much, much quieter. They seem much stealthier. It's hard to work out whether they're making stuff up as they go along. But if you were Qilin, why would you let one of your affiliates act like that? It's mystifying. It's strange.
This is a really, really strange one and one that we'll be looking at quite closely.
Oh, absolutely. Watch this space, I guess. We're trying to get to the bottom of what Qilin is doing. Look, maybe I'll install Tox on my PC and reach out to them and say, hey, do you want to come on the podcast and show your thinking? I'm sure Liam would love that.
Yeah, look, it'd be really cool, but I also don't want to
We were joking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Just have an animation over their face and that kind of like, hi,
Yeah.
kind of vocoder thing happening. But yeah, we're looking into it. As soon as we find anything out, we will absolutely be writing a story about it and mentioning it on the podcast right here. But we're talking about ransomware payments. And of course, we have probably since Change Healthcare, one of the biggest examples of exactly that with Instructure and their Canvas portal getting hacked or taken down. This was done by Shiny Hunters. It was done a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
It has hit schools and tertiary education and business education centres worldwide.
Yeah.
The Australian Computing Society was impacted by it because they were listed by Shiny Hunters. Instructure comes out and says, we've reached an agreement with the threat actor. Shiny Hunters then says on their website for about 5 days, we too have reached an agreement with the victim and you will never hear from us again regarding this. And then even that has now been deleted from Shiny Hunters' leak site, like it never happened. Now, if that's not a case in point for ransomware, I don't know what is. And pretty much the entire industry has gone, yeah, that's a ransomware payment.
Yeah.
Now, even getting outside of the morality of, is it okay to pay a criminal? I think we can both agree that when it comes to matters like, say, healthcare data or the data of minors, of students, at that kind of volume, millions of students, thousands of schools, you might look at the damage to your reputation and the damage to your stakeholders and go, yeah, look, it's worth a couple of million.
Yeah.
It's worth a handful of Bitcoin. We'll just do it. Especially with, people like you and I writing.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Do I agree with paying ransom? No. Do I agree that they should be illegal? No.
No. Could I say if I were in their shoes, I would not pay a ransom? I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
But at the same day, I might be like, it's kids' information. If this gets out there, how do we look?
Yeah, exactly.
We have a duty of care. What is our duty of care? We do everything we can. We'll pay and it'll go.
Yeah.
The problem is, it may not go away.
No.
And this is one of the things. So Alison Nixon, she's co-founder and chief research officer at threat intelligence firm, Unit 221B. She has a bit of a history with shiny hunters. So she's been quite vocal since February. In fact, she says that she's part of the reason that Scattered Lapses Hunters got rid of their brand, because the brand became untenable. But anyway, she's very much, you do not pay ransom. You do not pay ransom, particularly to these guys, because they're jerks and they're untrustworthy. She has received death threats. Shiny Hunters is currently basically DDoSing their inbox so no one can contact them, while at the same time contacting media to go, what she's saying is wrong, we are trustworthy, blah, blah, blah. There's this whole meta war going on there. But she shared some very interesting details on LinkedIn about what you can expect and from ransomware operators or cyber extortionists in general. And I just love some of the things she says. And my notes are, I love looking through my own writing and going, what the hell am I saying? This makes no goddamn sense. She said of shiny hunters, they want you to forget past behavior that caused victims to stop taking them seriously. They're also flooding our email to make it more difficult for journalists to reach us. Nixon said that she believes ransomware actors and cyber extortion simply cannot be trusted. The value proposition for paying rests entirely on how much confidence you have that promises will be kept. Simply, can you trust them? These people already willing to break the law, already willing to compromise children, patient data, what have you. So think about the people you're negotiating with. She went on to say, immediate lack of harm does not guarantee future lack of harm. Pay or leak groups often keep the data, and re-extortion can happen later or after the arrest of a group member. You and I have both read through ransom negotiations where the promise is, we will delete our data and we'll show evidence of deleting our data. No such thing is provable.
Yeah.
You can share a screenshot of your data.zip, being slowly deleted, but it could be at any number of machines anywhere else in the threat actors network and waiting to be on-sold to someone else.
Yeah.
Because we certainly know there have been actors out there who take advantage of these old data sets that have already been paid for by a victim, and then 2-3 years later, reselling the data now, going, hey, do you want to pay again?
Just like you said, change healthcare.
Well,
that's a little different than just like the same actor going again. But
you get the idea, right?
You're also, and you're placing a target on your head. Oh, these guys pay.
Yeah. Yes. Once you're seen as being once the hackers see you as what they think of as a sucker, well, they're going to come after you. Oh, you'll pay, will you? Cool. Well, great, excellent. It's like
I'll tell my hacker friends.
They're the schoolyard bullies who've noticed that you're the weak kid in the yard through no fault of your own.
This kid doesn't throw dirt in our eyes and tell the teacher.
It doesn't tell the teacher. Exactly. They're easy. We can take their school money, their lunch money. This I love. This seems like she's getting quite personal with shiny hunters, and I'm here for the shade. Promises should be understood in the context that most extorters are drug addicts and or mentally unstable. Ask yourself what matters more to them, their reputation or more cocaine. That feels like she's throwing hands at shiny hunters.
Yeah, it does.
I'm kind of here for it.
So am I, because even if that wasn't true, it'd piss them off.
I can't. I'm not upset at shiny hunters being angry.
Neither.
She also went on to say be wary of psychological tactics, spreading fear, rushing you, media pressure, dragging children into it. All tactics of scammers that don't want you to act rationally. And shiny hunters and a lot of other threat actors now are moving on to calling up executives, calling up their customers, mentioning, "Oh, I saw your school kid's photo in your email. It'd be a shame if something," and on from there. These are bad people willing to do bad things for a payday, and you just simply cannot trust them.
And that is the kind of crux of it.
Yeah. Nixon clearly believes paying a ransom is not a solution, and at best a delaying tactic until the same actor or a second one makes another attempt at extortion. The last point she made, and this is, I think, is a good one to end this part of the segment on, is if you do think at some point you might have to answer that question, should I pay a ransom? The one time to think about that is right now.
Yeah. Before
you're attacked, when you're not under pressure. Go through a tabletop exercise.
Yeah.
Bring in a company, bring in Thales maybe. Thales? I always get that pronunciation wrong.
Yeah.
Any other number of companies out there that do tabletop exercises and get them to talk to you about ransomware negotiations. You can tabletop that as well.
Oh.
But your playbook which, by the way, should be offline in a hard copy, just in case,
Yeah.
because you don't want your what do we do in case of ransomware
Yeah,
playbook
exactly.
encrypted.
Where's the line where we would pay ransom?
I
Oh,
don't
cool.
know.
Now
Gotta-
the threat actors know.
It encrypted, yeah. But make that decision now.
Yeah.
Work out your appetite for risk. Work out what data you have that really, really matters, and work out now what you're willing to pay for.
Yeah.
And also work out an upper limit.
Yeah.
And have those funds ready.
Yeah.
Just be ready to go right away,
Yeah.
or make the decision not to and stick by it. Say,
Yeah.
no, we're not.
Yeah.
It's something that we see every now and then when we get these commentary from the people we contact who've been hit. Who'll go, and it is our policy to never pay a ransom.
Yeah.
So if your policy is not to, have it there in a policy, have it written. Be public about it.
And the thing is,
Because
that's
if criminals know, they won't pay a ransom, you won't negotiate with terrorists.
and that's the thing. Like any company that's willing to say that, better stick by it because they'll just ruin themselves reputationally.
Oh, exactly. Once you make that decision, stick by it. Absolutely.
So, and as a result, threat actors are going to go. Well, they're not going to go for extra reputational damage and lie.
Yeah.
Let's ignore them.
100%.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the exact same mind of the threat actor, but that's I imagine that probably
walk a
goes.
mile in their criminal shoes.
Yeah, they're
walk a
drugged
mile
up.
in their cocaine trail.
Yeah.
But no, I just think it's a really interesting topic. I mean, we could talk for one episodes on ransomware payments, the morality of it. What would you do if? I mean, we've covered enough healthcare incidents where imagine if we discovered Janaea, for instance, had come to an agreement with their threat actor, you'd go, that's fair.
Yeah. It's one of the scenarios where you're like, yep, that's where it starts to
it.
get a bit, life and deathy.
Unless you draw the line in the sand, you take
personal.
that reputational hit, you deal with the consequences, but you're not adding to the proceeds of crime because that's what you're doing with these people.
Yeah.
On that note, we're going to take a short break and come back with some actual, literal good news.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Back on Cyber Uncut. I'm David Hollingworth. He is Daniel Croft. And a whole lot of people have been arrested and or charged with cyber crimes. It's so great to see law enforcement actually making a dent here. So we're going to start off internationally with 201 arrests in an Interpol-coordinated operation, the largest of its kind in the Middle East and North Africa region. So
13 countries.
13 countries, and the figures are just ludicrous. On top of those 201 arrests, we are looking at... Great. Pause there. It's very, very dramatic. They seized 53 servers. They identified more than 3,000 victims.
Yeah, 3,500, I think it was.
Yeah. Oh, something like 3,800. Neil Jetton, Interpol's director of cybercrime, said of Operation RAMS, with a Z, by the way, so that's kind of cool, I guess. In a world where cybercriminals exploit the digital landscape without borders, Operation RAMS demonstrates the effectiveness of global collaboration. Interpol is dedicated to working with its member countries and private sector partners to take down malicious infrastructure, disrupt criminal groups, and bring perpetrators to justice. 201 of them in this case. For instance, in Morocco, authorities seized devices and external drives used in phishing operations. This led to 3 arrests and dismantled an entire phishing-as-a-service website. For those of you who don't know about these things, have you ever looked at a phishing or as one of these websites?
No, I actually haven't.
Insert crime here as a website. It really is quite wild. It's like, would you like to do X today? Would you like to steal credentials? Would you like to steal some identity? And it's just little bits of software you can just download and run yourself. It's like modding a game on your PC, except you're committing crimes. In Jordan, law enforcement authorities uncovered a 15-person scam operation, but then discovered that those 15 people were victims of a human trafficking operation.
Yeah, which does happen.
Yeah. Upon arrival in Jordan, their passports were confiscated and they were forced or coerced into participating in the scheme. And the 2 individuals suspected of orchestrating the whole thing were arrested. Now, this is something we see a lot in Southeast Asia. The big scam compounds. We hear being raided by police. Often, it happens. I think there's been a couple in the Philippines that EFP have worked on. And, when you hear the word compound, you think walls and multiple buildings. And guess what? It's a walled enclosure, multiple buildings and lots of security and a lot of people, sometimes hundreds, human trafficked there, working as wage slaves, committing crimes on behalf of other people. It's just the scale
it's literally
of it
people
is
who are like,
nuts.
I'm going to go and get a job overseas so I can bring money back to my family or whatever it is.
Yep.
And then they get stuck here making either not enough money to leave and they're stuck, or they're physically trapped into these,
or a
whatever it
combination,
is, you know.
or even just the idea, oh God, I'm committing crimes now. I've got to stay here. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Especially if your passport's gone, what can you do?
Yeah, and
you
the
can
thing
run
is-
out of the building and go to the authorities, but your identity document's gone.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously this is incidents done under duress, but you know, I'm no lawyer, but you know, so I'm glad that the two guys orchestrating it were arrested.
Yeah, because
not
they are the bad guys.
Yeah, not the human trafficked individuals. That's maybe the only place where I'm like, you've hacked me, but you didn't hack me. You did it on behalf of someone else.
Yeah. It's and that's just like two examples out of this entire operation that ran, I think, from October 2025 to February 2026. And we're talking like 8,000 pieces of intelligence gathered by law enforcement and their corporate partners in this. So well done, Interpol. Well done to law enforcement authorities in Algeria, Bahrain, Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Libya, Morocco, Oman, Palestine, Qatar, Tunisia, and the UAE. I also want to point out that a lot of these countries probably had missiles and drones falling on them during this operation.
Yeah, probably.
Wow. Anyway, bravo, well done. However, closer to home, we have also had charges and arrests here in Australia, which I will move on to now. So a 35-year-old Melbourne man was jailed over a phone porting scam, given a 2-year jail term. Australian Federal Police got a tip-off from a telco that this guy was trying to register a whole mess of phone numbers, and ultimately with the aim of receiving multi-factor authentication and then being able to access other people's bank accounts and things like that. So yeah, he got. And on top of that, I kind of love how all of this one folds out. 3 scammers, again, nicked by the AFP in combination with New South Wales Police Cybercrime Squad, made 3 arrests after 3 individuals were found to be using business money secured from business email compromise scams to buy gold bullion. Bullion? Yeah. Bullion's what you drink. Bullion's what you buy. $600,000 of scam proceeds. They were buying, I think, bullion. Why did I say bullion? In like $100,000 amounts. The woman, one of the women arrested, she was arrested in the shop. So basically the cops have tailed her to the shop, rocked up, scared some poor shop assistant, taken her into custody, and then she's got 2 mates in a car. And they've gone and had a look at the car, and that's looking pretty sus as well, where there's cash and all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, they've been arrested and are currently being remanded without bail, and will almost certainly, for their alleged activity, I got in trouble for not saying alleged during the aviation podcast the other day. So I'm saying alleged.
It was
now.
re-recorded. It was all fixed.
We did, yeah. I walked in here for 5 minutes and just said alleged a lot so they could drop in the right inflection.
Yeah.
One of the weirdest things I think I've ever done. But the good guys have some wins every now and then.
Yeah, and it's good to see. And we've got a good, healthy bit of good news this week.
Yeah,
which is
actual good news. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, on to that good news where we're both like, wow, good news.
Yeah.
I think we're both shocked by actually having some good news.
I think so.
And not even good news that might be good news, but has a non-silver lining. Anyway, actual good news.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. You've been listening to Cyber Uncut. The Cyber Daily podcast comes out every week. I'm David Hollingworth. This has been Daniel Croft. You can find us on social media, especially LinkedIn. You can sign up for our newsletter on Cyber Daily and get us in your inbox 5 days a week. I recommend it. It's pretty worth it.
Yep.
And will we be back next week?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm sure
I was
we will.
hoping you'd be like, really, yeah, we will.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
I
That's
thought
what I like
that
to
you were
hear.
literally
No,
asking
no.
like, will we be?
Will
I'm
we?
like,
No. We will
We've
be
been
back
cancelled.
next week. Cyber Uncut will be back next week unless we get cancelled.
yeah, the show's been cancelled.
There you go, the bad news.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for listening. Hope you're having fun.
All
Bye.
right, see ya.